Joining me now is our Chief Foreign Editor, Rob Parsons. As I mentioned there, today obviously is a key date in Iranian history.
Yeah.
43 years since that American embassy was taken in Tehran.
43 years. The embassy held for 444 days. 52 American diplomats and others in there held hostage for all that time. And ever since then, US-Iranian relations have been rock bottom. Today, they're celebrating it with the catchy title, National Day of Fighting Global Arrogance. A lot of people have been bussed into Tehran, to just outside the US embassy, apparently a big crowd, with the usual slogans, death to the United States, death to the great Satan, death to Israel, death to Saudi Arabia. But interesting, Ebrahim Raisi, the president of Iran, addressing the rally and singling out Joe Biden, who in a speech on Thursday said, we will free Iran, and then sort of catching up on himself saying the people of Iran will free themselves. Raisi said, I'm telling Biden Iran was freed 43 years ago, in reference to that siege of the embassy, the storming of the embassy, and of course the revolution itself. There was interesting in one little detail, some of it, because you remember Iran has denied categorically that it's got anything to do with the drones that are being used in Ukraine. The accusation being that Iran has supplied drones to Ukraine. And there in the demonstration today were a lot of placards bearing the symbol, the triangular symbol of those drones, which rather undermines the claim by the Iranian authorities that it's got nothing to do with them.
So in the meantime, Rob, the level of violence at these protests continues to rise, and rise rather dramatically.
Yeah, as you were pointing out in your introduction, the demonstrations have been taking place all over the country, and the response to the demonstrations has been getting more and more violence. I mean, just over the last 48 hours, there have been protests, quite violent protests, it has to be said, particularly in the southeast of the country, in Sistan, Baluchistan, which borders Pakistan, where the population is predominantly Sunni rather than Shiite, but elsewhere in the country as well, in Kurdistan in the northwest, in Rasht up on the Caspian Sea, in Kharaj just outside Tehran, in Qom, the holy city Qom, where there is growing opposition to the regime as well. Azvin to the northwest of Tehran, the spread of the geographical spread creates a real problem for the regime, knowing how to respond and maintain its resources effectively. And perhaps because of the problem of dealing with that spread, they increasingly resorting to violence. We've heard of automatic weapons being used, birdshot being used. Almost every day we're hearing of deaths. The Iranian Human Rights Organization based in Norway says almost 300 people have been killed, many of them women and minors. 37 policemen too have been killed, and perhaps it's worth considering that there is a growing evidence that the response to the violence is in turn becoming violent as well. And therein, I think, lies perhaps a danger for the protest movement, because up until now, it's been remarkable for its social and ethnic unity. Attempts by the regime in particular to introduce that ethnic element into it, to set off the predominant Iranian population against Kurds or against Baluchis in the south, hasn't worked. And the social solidarity has been very impressive, with oil workers coming in to join the women's demonstrations and so on. But if it turns to violence, there is that risk. And if it turns to looting and destruction of property, there is a risk that solidarity might start to disappear bit by bit.
Rob Parsons, thank you.